Hi, I'm Sharma Curran with Thai Healing Massage Academy. Welcome to another edition of our Thai Massage question and answer series. Today's question is, what is the correct speed for Thai massage techniques? So first we have to distinguish between three categories of techniques. The first one is rocking, which we use extensively here at Thai Healing Massage Academy. The second one is muscle work, like in elephant walking. And the third one is stretching. So how does speed apply to those three? It doesn't apply to the rocking at all because the rocking is determined by the body's own speed. So let me show you this. This here is a hip rocking technique. Now when you do that, you can see that the body has its own natural rhythm and you just kind of help that along. So the speed question doesn't apply to most rocking techniques or the other techniques like a swinging technique here, and you can't just make this swinging or the rocking faster or slower because it won't be rocking anymore, it won't feel natural anymore. So the other two types of techniques, the muscle work like the elephant walking for example, yes, the speed is very important here, and same for the stretching. There are two factors here. How does the client feel and how does the therapist feel? Let's look at the client side. There are two things that will happen if you work too quickly with either muscle work or stretching. First, the client will feel that it's mechanical, that it doesn't feel relaxing, it feels a little bit unsafe. And when you do stretches too quickly, the client will have the tendency to lock up against it and resist the stretches because the client doesn't know, well, how far will you go when you do a stretch very quickly? So the client doesn't feel so comfortable. The client doesn't have really so much confidence in what you're doing. So that's how the client feels if you work too quickly. Now, as far as the therapist is concerned, if the therapist works quickly, there are several problems. So let's say you do your elephant walking here on the thigh. If you do this quickly, you don't allow any information from the client's body to reach you. You lose your sensitivity. You just cannot really find out, well, where does it feel tight, where does it feel knotty, where does it feel swollen, or where does it feel that there's something wrong with it. If you work slowly, you can feel that because you can be sensitive. You have enough time for feedback to reach you from the client's body. If you rush this, you don't feel anything. It's totally insensitive, mechanical type of movement. Then the second thing is, if you do stretches, well, let me show you one. If you do stretches very quickly, like this hip stretch here, well, again, you don't have the sensitivity to find out when do you reach the far end of the stretch. In other words, where do you have to stop? If you do this type of thing, if you do it quickly, you cannot observe the client properly, for feedback, flinching, and you just cannot feel anything. But if you do it slowly and you sink in gradually, then it's much easier to feel how are you doing, how intense can the stretch be, where do you have to stop, what's the range of motion, and also you allow the muscle to relax. You see, if muscles are already tight or locked up and you rush them into a stretch, they will just resist it because the muscle will experience this fear sensation. Oh, what if that stretch goes too far? And there's a good reason for that, because you can actually cause pain and even cause muscle fibers to tear if you do a stretch too quickly. So working slowly is much, much better than working quickly with stretches. Here's another thing I should mention. Here in Thailand, many therapists, they have this bad habit as far as I'm concerned. They take you into a stretch, let's say this hamstring stretch here, and when they reach pretty much the end of the range, for good measure they throw in a little extra push or jerky movement, and this is, I don't know why they do it, but it's definitely not good. It can even be dangerous. At the end of a stretch, you should slow down and not accelerate. So that's just a bad habit that therapists have about this. When you reach the end of a stretch, you slow down, you feel when is it enough, and then you let go. So anyway, The conclusion of all this is that with the exception of rocking techniques, which have their own natural rhythm, both muscle work and stretching techniques in Thai massage are best done slowly. It is better for the experience of the client, it is better for your own ability to gauge what you're doing. It's an all-round better experience. So definitely slower is better than faster.